Not everything that steps out of line and thus abnormal must necessarily be inferior. Hans Asperger's, 1938. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is a new channel about Asperger's and Asperger's. This is a new channel about Aspergers Syndrome and Neurodiversity. Today we'll be talking about what is Aspergers Syndrome, and I will be explaining my point of view, my perspective, my idea of what Aspergers Syndrome really is from my point of view. Going along with chapter 1 of this very interesting book that I really recommend reading, which is The Complete Guide to Aspergers Syndrome. Anyways, observation number 1. The social maturity and reasoning were delayed at any age level, and their social abilities were quite unusual at any stage of development. This literally describes what I would hear a lot growing up. I was constantly being sent to psychologists, which was very unusual unusual in my time. It was starting to be encouraged, to send kids to psychologists, but it was seen negatively by society. And I remember my dad actually making fun of me as a way of him reprimanding me for being sent to a psychologist. It was like his way of saying, well, if you stop misbehaving, and acting like the norm, you're not going to be sent to psychologists. So I'm going to be making fun of you for being sent to psychologists. That was his mentality at the time, because it was, still following that connotation that psychologists had. This is, old school mentality pretty much. We'll call it the crazy doctor, because only troublemakers and crazy people will be sent there. Unfortunately, there was a huge misconception about psychology in my time, which made it even more confusing, because at the time, psychology will be seen like a negative thing, like only troublemakers will be sent there. And some of the teachers will still believe that, and some of them were still kind of like trying to be a little progressive and think like, well, maybe this kid has problems at home that need to be addressed by a therapist, by psychologists, or maybe something is just maybe this kid just needs a little extra help or somebody to talk to, maybe something that makes him. I don't want to get very into that. I'm going to make another video about that. But for example, I can't help it. One of the teachers will tell mom, like, she's just always like in a cloud. Like, I'm never going to forget that he would say that to my parents. And I've never forgot this, because it wasn't the first time I would hear like a remark like that. So yeah, it was like she's always like in a cloud, and she's always like daydreaming, and she looks like she's not paying attention. It's funny thing, like I will still get good grades, and yes, my attention span is terrible, but somehow I will still get like the gist of what he was teaching for some reason. Like I will get good grades in school. In that particular, my grades were not amazing, but they were not bad at all. Like I never got anything under 70%. I would always get 70% was like a C, was like the worst I would do. I was always like, and it wasn't even like down to 7, but like 75% or something. Usually I will get 80%, 90%, but to them that was bad grades, especially because I was in a private school. So yeah, like I guess he would probably think like, why is she so spaced out all the time? Maybe she has like all these problems at home, and she just like can't focus, and she's just like, poor kid. She's probably just thinking about all these problems and trying to escape reality. Like I can only imagine like a lot of people will think things like that, especially teachers. Like that's kind of their first thought, like, oh, this kid must have a lot of issues at home that makes her like just take off like that. And that was not the case at all. Not that my home was perfect or my parents were like the perfect parents, but whatever problems I had at home did not bother me. Like they were not an issue for me to not be paying attention to school whatsoever. I was just always like that. Like even at home, I could be literally watching a movie and I will space out. Like that's just how I am. Okay, so anyways, more on that later, right? Another thing is that I remember also my mom mentioning to me once or a few times that the that I don't know if it's a teacher or teachers will tell her that my maturity level was pretty delayed for my age. And this was, you know, I was very young for someone to actually notice that a kid is being immature. It's a very like long shot, right? If I'm using this term right, but it's a very long shot because kids are immature. Like, being immature is part of being a kid, which is why a lot of kids in the spectrum go under the radar, because many parents who don't even know the first thing or are too busy to even like bother, especially kids who are like, I was not a troublemaker or I was not a bad kid at all, but I would get in trouble a lot because I would do a bit of like antics here and there. Is the word? It's a bit of an unknown word, but antics pretty much kind of like being a bit of a troublemaker. Like, you do like ring the doorbell and run, like little things like that, you know, playing pranks on people. But I wasn't like I wouldn't do that a lot, but here and there, you know, I'd be like, you know, be like a little bit of a rebel here sometimes. And I was just a normal freaking kid. Like, I wasn't super good, I wasn't bad either. I was just like right in the middle. I would do a little bit, I would get a little bit of trouble here and there, but when I would get in trouble, it would be more pronounced because of how I was and how it was a little bit more different than the average kid. And yeah, so pretty much a lot of parents, you know, disregard this as like, oh, kids, you know, he's just being a kid. Especially parents who never had other kids before. Like, what are they going to compare it to? Like, they can see how their kids behave, but you, unless you live with those kids, you don't really know if they do things like that on a regular basis or at a certain age, right? So my parents, it just never really stand out to my parents that I was not behaving according to my age. And because there was a lot of discrepancies. Like, for certain things I was very mature to the point that I would hang out with older kids than me, but then for other things I was really immature. Like, I would act like a kid that would be like a couple years younger than me. So it was hard to really put a nail on, like, this is some serious case of immaturity, of child immaturity, you know. Like, it's just, and I'm sure that happens like a lot with, like, I think the majority of the people in the spectrum. So pretty much maturity can be very questionable when you're children, because it's hard to really tell, like, is this kid being immature or he's just being a brat? You know, it's just, kid's just being a brat. Like, some people want to feel like, man, this kid does not get whooped enough by her parents, you know, or probably this kid never gets, you know, punished. And oh my God, I would get my ass whooped on a regular basis. Like, there was a schedule, like, hey, ass whooping, but Dad, I haven't done anything. Ass whooping time, sorry, it's in a schedule. Like, practically, I could swear it was like that, because I don't even remember, like, when I would do something bad and somehow I was like grounded. Like, my friends would come visit and be like, I'm grounded, and I wouldn't even understand what did I do. It was just, I was just being a kid. And, you know, like, my parents were pretty strict. So was it a matter of me not being disciplined enough? No, that was definitely not at all the reason. Like, I was beyond discipline, like beyond. Like, my dad was like freaking sergeant military discipline with me. Yeah, so that's how, you know, discrepancies and misunderstandings start happening with, you know, misdiagnoses start happening, you know. Observation number 2. There were impairments in verbal and nonverbal communication, especially the conversation aspects of language. I was first child, so my parents couldn't really compare me too much, right? Like I mentioned, although many times they did to other parents' kids, which I hated it. Oh, so-and-so always washes her dishes after this, or always, you know, tells her mom where she's gonna be every time, and so-and-so always gets good grades, and so-and-so is like, oh God, so annoying. Please don't compare to other kids. Don't do that. It's really like damages their self-esteem. Makes them feel like it doesn't matter if your kid gets bad grades. So what? You're still gonna love him. Let him get bad grades. Let him feel good about himself. Like, you want to teach your kid discipline, teach him discipline, but don't make him feel bad for, you know, not being the best at something. Another video for that. Okay, ahead of myself. So my parents had a very hard time understanding me as me. or my ability to understand certain things, because I seem extremely smart to them. Like, for example, I started speaking at 2 years old, 2 languages, English and Spanish. According to them, my speaking skills were like impressive by 3 years old. I'd also ask very high level questions, and I would think or express about ideas that kids my age wouldn't really ponder about. And I would have a lot of creative ideas, like all the time. Like, it was always constantly like, I would come up with all these great ideas about, you know, games and how to play and how to do different things, and we'll do plays, and wanted to always do a movie when I was growing up. I wrote scripts, and I would do like little stories. I would do a lot of like comic stories. Like, I would do drawings, and I would do conversations, and I would do whole little stories. I would have like a lot of collection of that. I give it to a friend. She never gave it back. She says she still has them. And I'm like, where is it? Can you send me a picture of them? An amazing imagination growing up. Like, too much imagination. There was not one moment of the day where my imagination just wasn't flowing. I was constantly entertaining myself. I would make stories out of nothing. I would be in school, and I'll be playing with colors, and every color was a personality, or it was a personality that I would develop, was a person, and just like my colors were people, and there was drama going on with my colors. They wouldn't get along most of the time, so I had to like handle the situation. But anyways, I will make games and stories of anything, absolutely anything. There was no way that you can get me bored. I'd be in a bathroom taking a dump, and I'd be playing with my fingers, and there was a whole story with my fingers. Like, there were dinosaurs. Like, there was a dinosaur, like some of them were like faces like this, and there was one that was like this, you know, and then another one that were like, the little ones were like this, they were the baby ones, and this was the mom, like, it was a whole like this. Sorry, it's embarrassing. That on other videos. However, I tend to speak overly fast, as you might be noticing by now. Trust me, if you haven't noticed, because I cut a lot of the crap. And I stutter like crazy. I will probably be cutting a lot of the stutters to not annoy you guys, but I stutter like crazy. I mumble a lot. That's like, I think, inevitable. I have a bit of a lisp, like English and Spanish. So sometimes, because I produce so much saliva all the time, that I can't keep up with it. Like, I keep up with like swallowing saliva constantly, and which is it affects my speech a lot of the time. Oh, another one is that I forget words a lot. Like, a lot of the cuts that you see in this video are because I'm like, for like 30 seconds, I'll put that on the bloopers. I can't quite put a finger in it yet, but for lack of better terms, which I like a lot of the time, I would say that I sound dumber than I am most of the time. I'm not that dumb. Not that dumb, guys. Come on. I do my homework. But sometimes I sound really smart, and I actually use high vocabulary. So it's complicated, right? But pretty much let's go to the next point, right? Shall we? Point number 3. Pedantic language. This is a quote from Hans Asperger's. Children had an unusual prosody that affected the tone and pitch and rhythm of speech. So, yeah, that totally me. Definitely had an unusual prosody when little. However, I fixed it. I have to read the notes, because otherwise I'll be going, like, I'll be talking forever, and then I'm like, wait, what was I saying? I fixed it faster than I imagine other people with it would do, because I grew up, actually, this is a story to explain many other things, but really just to touch on this. Where I grew up, I had pretty hard criticism. Like, my hometown, oh my god, it's like the bullies town. Like, in my hometown, I want to pause watching this video. Like, I'm gonna be like, hell yeah. Oh, yes, well, no, like, criticism, I don't know. Now people are getting very sensitive. But back in the day, holy crap, like, criticism was hard and on your face. Like, there was, like, if you cried, you're a little bitch. Bullying was the norm there. Like, it was normal to be a bully and tell things in the meanest way possible, and you have to come up with a good comeback, or just take it and not cry. It was really hard for me, because I would take everything literal. So pretty much the second that I would do something weird, people wouldn't hesitate to just point it out. So pretty much that helped me like get better on a lot of things, and like pretty much snap, like get, when I will be doing like weird stuff like or something off, I'd be shamed for it like a lot. So I'll be like, oh, I guess I can do this, I can do that. And it's not that it was right away, like it took me a while to really start like fixing myself, but it helped me, because that's just how, like, instead of people being like overly, you know, careful to not hurt my feelings, they would just be like, dude, why are you speaking weird? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Da da da. And I'd be like, why am I speaking weird? Like, why everybody's telling me this a lot? Like, maybe I am speaking weird. Maybe I need to fix it. You know, and that helped me. That helped me, because if I would have still been the way I was before, like, oh my God, I'd be having a lot of issues now. Even bigger issues as an adult. So I guess I can say bullying helped me. Which led me to believe that being honest and speaking up your mind was okay. But with someone who doesn't have a filter or any sense for it, it's not a good thought to have. So pretty much that was something that it took me a long time to really fix, was that I was beyond imprudent. And in a land where being frank was the norm, I still stood up. And which is, you know, crazy, which really makes it sound like even in a land where like being Asperger's in my town would have been as noticeable as being Asperger's here in America, for example, I still like stood up, although people were a lot of my behaviors were very similar to everybody else's, just mine just were a little bit more enhanced, I guess. Pretty much, I would, the other thing that I will be told a lot, and that's funny because I think everybody in my town, like Mexicans, they're loud, right? So in my hometown, which was a very small town, like most of the families knew each other. Like, everybody was kind of like the same. There wasn't like a difference in culture or mentality. Like everybody pretty much thought and was the same in many, many ways. We're all like pieces in a pod, pretty much. I will still be told that I was too loud, that I would speak too loud. And I'm like, what? And then I would speak too loud, that I would speak too fast, I will stutter, and I will speak like off tone and louder than my peers, speak too fast or stutter, and also that I will speak like kind of monotone. That I don't know if I still do it, I guess, but it was addressed to me from time to time, like when I would start going on a topic, and I would just kind of be like so I guess like I remember, I guess, more of my parents telling me like, oh, Francesca, like you need to, you know, like, I don't know, the sound of your conversation is kind of like annoying. You're like speaking on one level. Like I remember like saying them to me a couple times, and I guess peers too, but definitely I was called for being monotone. I also remember being told till this day, annoying them when I'm talking too much, or when I talk, like get really into a topic and I'm start going, and I just forget or stop reading that they're already bored off my topic, and here I am still talking on YouTube. So I don't know my lesson. Those are watching my channel, please slow down. I can't understand what you're saying. Being too loud. Speak lower. Story of my life. So, point number 4. In a quote, conspicuous impairment in the communication and control of emotions, tendency to intellectualize feelings. Empathy was not as mature as one would expect. Oh my head is spinning with like idea of like stories and just examples that come to my head, but I'm gonna have to make like a lot of other videos with, you know, all these different examples and life experience that I went through. For now, and I promise you, they're gonna be far from dull or boring, which I don't know, that's a good thing. I'm not sure if I should be proud or traumatized, right? But I guess it's one of a good thing that I didn't have interesting stories to tell, right? I hope it helps other people. Like, but yeah, you'll be the judge of that, and I will love to hear any comments below. So impaired communication, 100%. I had $1 for every time I got in trouble for saying something that was misunderstood and taken completely out of proportion, or got me just, you know, just was taken out of context and stuff. Oh my God, I'd be having, I'd be rich, because I'd be like opening my mouth a lot and be all like, oh my God, I'm gonna open up my mouth and it's making me a lot of money. But yes, I'd be rich regardless. It still happens. It still happens to me. I say something, I'm like, no, oh, that's not, no, that's not what I meant. I will start stuttering, and then I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, and so many bad situations thanks to my cleverness of saying things. 0 emotional control. Definitely, that's me. Present. I have fabulous stories about that, by the way. But it's been the hardest thing that I've been having to work on. I had anger management problems my entire life. A lot of crazy stories about that. The thing is that it would only come out when I would explode. Like I'm more like an explosive type. I would hold things in for a long time and then explode it. I would either be too stupid or freaking psycho lunatic. Like never in between. Like I couldn't just be like, stop doing this. I don't appreciate this. This better not happen. Like, okay. There was never like a middle ground with me. Empathy. So as a child, that definitely did not come natural to me. But I mean, now I'm super like empathetic, but as a child, like I had an understanding. Like obviously I would get sad, right? I knew what being sad was. I just couldn't understand what other people would feel in a situation. I don't remember when or how, but I did start getting the understanding that if some other people was feeling sad, I was supposed to feel sad. But I do remember struggling with the fact that I would feel bad that when other people would be feeling, you know, sad or something or bad, like that I couldn't really feel their pain. Like I would just feel nothing, and that made me feel guilty. So I guess I wasn't really fully understanding what I was supposed to feel, and why is that I wasn't feeling a certain way or not feeling a certain way. However, I loved acting, right? I loved acting. So I was a little girl. I had like really good, like, you know, skills for that. And I love watching movies, and I love watching soap operas. And I guess it's somewhere stated in the book that it says that, I think it's in the book, it's something about watching soap operas is kind of like a good exercise. That I don't know if they do it on kids with autism or that they encourage to do it, because it really helps them, like kind of like helps them with understanding like emotions and stuff like that. So in Mexico, it's a really like a thing to watch, especially back in the day, like when I didn't used to really have, like, cable wasn't really a thing back then. And it was an antenna, but then it stopped working, and I would watch like other cartoons, or I would watch, there was like these different soap operas for different times of the day. So there was like the kids soap operas, and there was like the more like teenager soap operas. So I would watch a lot of that. Anyways, anything Latino, it's like amazing. So if you're ever into wanna watch a really good soap opera, I really recommend it. So the soap operas really help me, like they teach me to be like how to be more dramatic. They help me understand, to try to like really like feel the character, like understand how the character was, how to understand what the character was feeling. I would really engage in that, and it taught me how to put myself in other people's shoes. So if somebody would like hurt and like fall and hurt themselves, even if it wasn't a really like crazy funny way, even if it was just on a video, and people will crack up, like I would like really think that, oh my god, that really hurts. Like I'm so worried for this person, because like this person must be in a lot of pain. So I didn't find that funny whatsoever. However, I'll see other people, everybody else will be laughing at these videos or something like that, and I'll be like, that is terrible. Why are they laughing? That's not funny. That's very painful for that person. Like feel so bad. Like I'm in pain. I don't get it. I don't get these neurotypicals. So I have one specific example memory. When I actually started kind of like becoming to try to understand this whole thing about, you know, emotions and feeling empathy in certain situations, or feeling sad in certain situations. We used to do this memorial for my grandparents, my grandfather and my great-great-grandfather. They had this ranch, and they did a special memorial because they were very important people in my town. My great-grandfather fought he was a governor and fought, it's called the Revolution of Mexico. He fought for the people's rights, especially of that state. The whole peninsula, he turned it into 2 states. So my grandfather fought it to become his own division, so it be cut into 2. So you have the Baja California South and North. It's very influential people in the city. So they got governor of the city. They had a memorial every year. My grandfather had just passed away not that long ago, and they buried him right next to his great grandfather, which was a great honor because not even his father got buried there. I remember it was like my second memory of being there was when I was starting to like build memories. So I remember being there before. It was like the second time we're there. So the first time I was just like, oh, whatever was going on here, I don't know. The second time I kind of like, I thought, I'm like, oh, I'm getting it. This is a special moment for my grandfather. It seems like a funeral to me. So this is sad, right? It seems to be sad. Everybody was quiet. Nobody was really crying. Still didn't make me think otherwise. I guess older grown-ups don't really cry, because this is my grandfather, and they used to tell me so many stories of my grandfather, that he loved me, and I remember him very, very little because I was very young when he died. So I was there, I'm thinking like, oh, I should be crying. I should be crying because this is my grandfather, and my grandfather's not, you know, not here anymore, and this is sad. This should be a sad moment. So I guess I'm gonna cry. And I just started like really forcing myself to start sharing a tear, and I'm just over here like, I miss you, Mom. I'm so sad you're not here, Mom. And then I wanted my mom, and oh no, so sad, my grandpa, so sad. And my mom looks at me, she's like, don't find it's embarrassing, no. But oh my God, isn't this sad? Am I supposed to cry? Okay. I'm confused. Pretty much, that made me so confused because it shamed me that my parents were like shaming me, like getting mad at me for like crying. They was like, you're not supposed to cry here, and I'm like, I'm confused. Isn't this a like we're in front of the grave? We're supposed to be like sad and crying because we miss him. Like I don't understand the point of this. Like I'm really confused. So after that, I was like, well, okay, like I don't know. So when am I supposed to cry? Like how do I know when is a sad situation or a bad situation? So that was just a memory that I never forgot about that. I never forgot there's like that I forced myself to cry, and it was not. It was just not the right time for it. It was just like, what are you doing? Like, no. So I'm like, oh fuck. So I give up. I'm not getting this sympathy, empathy thing. So it's just one really good example that never left me.